Okay, so we're going to get to that in quite a bit, in a little bit. Now, in terms of your relationships, again, back to the start, because I think this is so important when we're talking about relationships, that we think that it just kind of like happens all of a sudden. But there has to be circumstances that bring people together that you kind of, at some point, see eye to eye. That, hey, you know, there's something in them that is of use to my cause, and vice versa. So what was that like for you guys?
So, Mad Chiller basically began as an idea. And Mad Chill means, in modern lexicon, everything cool. And we figured in order to be cool, we have to be relevant. So that meant constantly engaging the community and you know, basically finding out what the needs are. I first met Marte at an event for Life is Art, which is a local community-based organization. And you know, from us attending Life is Art, giving out our in-kind sponsorship there, we met Marte and we began discussing future projects and future events. That actually has created tremendous opportunity. So you never know what you may get, which is a great thing. This has really helped Mad Chiller gain tremendous knowledge on what the community looks for. It gives us constant information so we have a pulse on the art community, which Mad Chiller, the owners, Chad Miller and I and Eleanor, we all have a passion for art. And that's really what pushed us in this direction, just our love for art. So you never really know what can happen. And that's how everything took hold.
What can I say? It was a synergy. I think when you're looking for people you want to do projects with, you have to talk to them. You have to get to know them. And I think our magic here just started because we really like each other, you know. I think Adon and Eleanor and Chad are all just so welcoming and open. They got our mission immediately. And I think that's really key to understanding what's going to make something work over the long term. You know, are you getting what your partner needs? Do you have something that matches that? Do you understand what's important? I think values can be really, really key to a partnership working or not working. But in order to even get there, you have to get to know one another. So I think we just hit it off, and we did a couple experiments, and we liked what we saw, and the people around us really enjoyed it as well. So we just started taking it from there. And I think it's important to kind of know each other, look long term, develop your partnership over time. I mean, we don't know where we're going to be in a year, but we are talking about potentially even having a permanent spot at the bakehouse. So that's exciting.
Being just a huge component of what happens. I think the difference here where we end to where we started, where we look at a Citibank or a Miami Heat and those kind of organizations, you go, wow, that's like huge. Okay, this is not that, you know, and that's what I see. That, I mean, what you're hearing today really can work on many different levels, but you have to apply it to you. So even the fact of a relationship between one another, that personal sense of touch that you kind of like are reaching out to people and connecting with people on their level and opening yourself up as well, it's going to be huge to create relationships that'll take you that step further. Because if this wouldn't have worked, I'm sure just your relationship would have taken that next step somehow, where it would be beneficial for both of you. But in that, now that, okay, you kind of met each other, you did something, but how does this play out now? What is it that you see him collaborating for you guys, and what are you getting from this?
Well, essentially, for us, we are the only place in Wynwood that has permanent creative space, dedicated nonprofit, working artist facility. So we've been in Wynwood for 29 years. We're turning 30 next year too. But we also want to be a bigger part of the community. The Bakehouse has been, I always joke, it's one of Miami's best kept secrets, because unless you were an artist looking for studio space, it might not have been the first organization on the radar for you. But when we were thinking about wanting to have bigger community presence and drawing people to our space, the Bakehouse is great. We're in a food desert, so there's really no place around to hang out, to get food. I mean, certainly we have a lot of menus in our office, but when we were thinking about making our facility a little more comfortable, a place where people wanted to kind of hang out and spend time, Mad Chiller seemed really a natural fit for us. So we've got the space. We are also in an industrial building, former commercial bakery, and we've got 220 volt power, which they're really awesome coffee machines required. So that just that was a surprise, but it really was a good fit. So.
Yeah, and I'd like to add that our passion for art really, Bakehouse gave us tremendous help with even understanding what art really means to Miami, and also how we can utilize art within our business strategy. We did something called the Mad Chiller Coffee Bag Tag, which was a call to artists we did through Bakehouse, and which was a tremendous success. We actually are utilizing the artwork of Marisol Medina on our coffee bag called I Love You. And that really resonates with all of our community partners who are involved with the arts, and really gives us a competitive advantage when it comes to who we talk to and who we engage, when we test products. Being involved in all the events at the Bakehouse gives us access to a vast network of music, art. You have visual artists, you have, you name it. It gives us a lot of access to test products, demo products, and really make a name for ourselves. So with moving on for future, I think that any business, really, new small business that has an idea, and being able to engage the community really gives a constant push and understanding of your products and how people are responding to them. And this has given us a leg up because we are a coffee company, and everybody knows that a coffee company is a dime a dozen. You have maybe millions across America. So being different has really helped us gain popularity and helped us understand ourselves. So whether you're a coffee company, whether you have a service that you want to start to push, the engagement through the arts is definitely one of the best ways to go.
Well, as a business now, because one thing is being able to barter away something, a physical thing. The next is, bartering your time, your physical time as well. And here, as a business, you obviously, somebody got to pay the rent, but you take bartering to a different level, So in that as part of this sharing economy, how do you see that being a really big foothold in what you do and stepping out? So aside from the Bakehouse, how do you see that moving the business forward?
Well, I do like to say we take it back to the Gilded Age where the barter system works, and it's still true today. We've partnered with maybe, I would say, over 100 different organizations. I shouldn't say partner, we did sponsorships, and there's definitely a difference between sponsorships and partnerships. Sponsorships are usually maybe one or two events. In any case, you do want to understand what the organization you're doing a sponsorship for, their mission, you want to understand what you can do to help that mission happen successfully. But through partnership, it's more of an in-depth engagement, which an open line of communication is definitely necessary. I think that, well, yeah, it gives you tremendous exposure. I think that's the number one thing that would help any business. Constantly showing your products, seeing the engagement level between your products. And also, I like to think that since we do sponsorships, we gain intel. We gain feedback on different community events. And since we have a partnership with Bakehouse and an open line of communication, we get to share that and create strategic planning based on what is actually happening in the community. And I think that helps us out tremendously.
And Marta, for you, I mean, he has a particular strategy that works out in the in-kind and the bartering system. And I'm sure that you look at how he responds to your needs, right? But how is it happening around you? What other type of collaborative efforts are you making? I mean, this is just one of multiple reaches. What is it that you're looking for in terms of those collaborative efforts to continue bringing in closer to the Bakehouse?
Well, I think I come from a strategic planning background, so I do think strategically a lot. I think in terms of what you want to get or what your overall strategy has to be is, know what your goals are, know what you want to accomplish. For the Bakehouse, it's been, how do we get visible? How do we become part of the community and relevant to the community? And how do we support other great work that's happening? So I think if you go from an arms open, we all win kind of perspective, it's different from just what can I get, what can I get? I think there's a tremendous amount of amazing work happening in Miami, and if there's anything that we can do to help make that work visible, there are not too many other arts organizations that have our same mission, and even the ones that are doing similar work we see as friends and peers and collaborators. So I think when you're forming your strategy, it's just kind of like know your goals and find people who have similar interests and might come at it from a different angle. But certainly know also what your assets are. I mean, we've got a creative community of 60 people, 60 small businesses in residence. We've got a permanent 2.3 acre space in Wynwood. So those are pretty incredible. So thinking about leveraging those assets and also serving our bigger goals while helping make other people doing great work more visible and successful, it's a win-win proposition.
And speaking about relevance, because that kind of keeps coming up, I don't know if you guys are catching that, the ability to make yourself of value in the state that we're in right now, relevant. Okay, it's not what you want to be 30 years from now. It's not what you were 10 years from ago. It's now, because now is when your organizations are actually happening. But to be relevant, how does that take on a practical day-to-day approach for the Bakehouse? Like, what does that look like? This is one way, but in terms of, okay, now you're wanting to draw in artists, you wanting to do different things in there. How does that take a practical approach?
I think that's a great question. I think you have to get intel. I've worked with arts organizations all across this country, and whatever stage, age, type, size, history, founder, not founder, whatever it happens to be. I think you have to know what is going on, and you have to ask for feedback. I mean, no matter who you are, you're not doing your work in a bubble. We're all part of an ecosystem here. So something that I found is kind of like, what do you have to offer? Who do you want to connect with, and who would want to connect with you, and how can you find them? I mean, it's not a unicorn chase. It's just kind of like, what do you want to do? Who can do that with you? Who can you help along the way? But you have to get feedback. You can't do your work with your head in the ground. So relevance is all about, it's not necessarily that you're tailoring your artistic product to whatever people want, because I think that's fraught. But you have to understand your audience, and how are you going to do that? You can't make assumptions. You have to talk to people. You have to get information from your audience, from your artists, from your board members, from people off the street. Anybody I meet, I invite them to a tour at the bakehouse. I think what we're doing is hard to grasp unless you see it. But getting feedback from also, like after we do events, we're debriefing all the time. We won the Miami Foundation Public Space Challenge to launch a twice monthly green market, which also incorporates artwork, curated artwork at the bakehouse. We're in our second month. We're now kind of like figuring out strategically what worked, what didn't work, what do we want to try next time. And by the way, if anybody's free on Sunday from 11 to 3, we're launching Edible South Florida's April issue, which is on fermentation. So we're going to be doing some fermentation stuff. But again, you have to get feedback, and if it doesn't work, you don't do it again. You try something different. So I think that also, strategically, you have to know what you're going for, know if it worked or didn't, and then change your approach if you want a different result. So it's kind of like being on the tennis court. If you're just standing here like this, you're not gonna hit any balls. So you got to be really flexible. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, and I think that works the same with business practice too. Getting feedback on our products. We go ahead and demo a product that has our spiced coffee, and like we have today, and I hope everybody's well caffeinated. But we didn't want to just put that into our array of products because we weren't sure of it. Maybe we liked it, but maybe, I don't know, the vast majority of people won't like it, and that could really hurt your business. So just having an open line of communication with our customers and our partners to give us feedback is really what helps us move forward. And that's how I hope Mad Chiller can prevail and stay within the fabrics of the community rather than on the outskirts, not knowing anything.
Awesome. You have an interesting kind of setup because, definitely it's pretty clear that what he's offering to the artist is something that you would want to do yourself. And what you're gaining in terms of their audience is something that you just love being in. So it's definitely a win-win situation for everybody. And, using each other's intelligence, in terms of like what you have garnered, is certainly definitely something to look forward to as you mine your the collaborations that you're already doing right now, and the partnerships that you already have right now, the supporters, as you mine those intelligence points and those touch points that really are moving people forward. Those are obviously areas that are of incredible benefit in terms of functioning within an area where it might not be comfortable because you are taking a risk. Your coffee might not be the best, in terms of that flavor of the month, just really didn't work. But you limited your exposure to a mega failure. So is there a dance company that wants to do something way out? Well, maybe you do it on a scaled down level to a small group and test it out on there and just see really what the effect would be versus all of a sudden asking, putting all your eggs in one basket and stepping up to the front door of the Adon Arts Center and going, hey, I got this great idea, and getting shot down right there when you haven't even tested it yet. So part of the idea of going ahead and gathering intelligence is, sometimes thinking a little bit smaller and testing it out will yield you a much bigger event at the end, and a better product. For me, I think here a takeaway, not only to this relationship, but just all the different interviews that we've had, is that it's not necessarily about just what you're doing, because you wanting to do it and it's important to you, but really that it's about the other people. And a lot of the times what we want to do for our own outcome, the initial step is, we're going to get this thing done. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And you put so much effort just kind of like looking at yourself in the mirror, getting this whole thing done. And sometimes really what it takes, like in this even particular instance, is seeing somebody else's pain point and you being the answer for it. Not waiting for them to be your answer. It's like, no, I think we need to step out for that other person. And once you start gaining respect because you are stepping out first and helping somebody else, and you now help them the second time, and they're going like, dude, these people aren't in it for them. They're really interested in helping me. That second sponsorship becomes a whole lot easier because now, again, your integrity and your relevance and your help actually becomes something ingrained in that other organization that you're trying to collaborate with. So certainly, I want to thank you guys for being here and joining us. I really appreciate your time and sharing with us.